So recently, Biden tweeted this: "It's time for Congress to ban assault weapons and high-capacity magazines. There's no possible recreational justification for having a 100-round magazine." Brandon, if there was no justification for high-capacity magazines, why does your Secret Service use them to protect your life? Biden thinks we're stupid, too stupid to see past his inflammatory tweet. Every single day, people in his administration use high-capacity magazines to protect his life. But here you are gaslighting us and telling us there's no justification for high-capacity magazines. Stop trying to play U.S. citizens for boo-boo the fool and just admit you don't believe in our two-way rights. Whenever I tell people that so-called high-capacity magazines are nothing more than a backdoor way to ban guns, people look at me funny, like, how is banning high-capacity magazines a backdoor way to ban guns? The answer is simple: because there's no set number for what is considered high capacity. And because there is no set number, that means the likes of Joe Biden can just come up with whatever number he wants and call it high capacity. Think about it. He says there is not a possible recreational justification for having a 100-round magazine. Yet, in the assault weapon ban bill that he won't shut up about, they consider anything over 10 rounds high capacity. How did we go from 100 rounds being high capacity to 11 rounds being high capacity? That is ridiculously arbitrary. There's no rhyme or reason for the number. They just make it up out of thin air. Or they just come up with whatever number they think they can get away with at the time. They're constantly changing the number anyway.
And then you can argue what a lot is. Okay, let's pick it. Let's say 3. If you haven't hit the deer with 3 shots, you're a pretty lousy shot. That deer deserves to get away. But if it's 30 bullets or 20 bullets or 10 bullets before you run out, I would suggest the deer is, God wants that deer to live.
Would ban sale of assault weapons and rapid-fire devices, immediately ending the sales of ammunition magazines holding more than 12 rounds.
Democrat State Representative Patricia Roybal Caballero will introduce House Bill 50, which aims to ban large-capacity magazines in New Mexico. A large-capacity magazine holds 10 or more rounds.
My legislation says there can be no more than 8 bullets in a round.
There's literally no consistency in what they consider to be high capacity. And the reason there is no consistency is because they consider any gun with any amount of bullets that is in the hands of a civilian high capacity. Today, it'll be a 100-round magazine. Tomorrow, it'll be a 25-round magazine. The day after that, it'll be 2.5-round magazine. Keep in mind, there are way more magazines than there are guns in this country. So not like the criminals are gonna just be giving up their magazines. So now we've created a situation where the good people will always be outgunned by the criminals. So while Joe Biden is trying to tell you that you don't need a 100-round magazine, he doesn't even think you need a 10-round magazine. So what are we really talking about here? I also find it funny that Joe Biden uses specifically recreational justification for having a 100-round magazine. Where does it say anywhere in the Second Amendment that you need a justification at all? I'll save you the reading. It doesn't. It simply says shall not be infringed. But the statement in and of itself is honestly kind of stupid. The recreational justification for a 100-round magazine is literally recreation. People shoot for recreation all the time. Nobody loads magazines for recreation. It's merely a required process for shooting. So if you can spend more time shooting than loading because you have a 100-round magazine, that seems like the perfect recreational justification to me. However, I will say I do find it odd that he said recreational justification versus self-defense justification, which if you ask me is way more important. But he said recreational justification, which to me is just weird. It's not like he was speaking off the cuff and fumbled or forgot to say something else. This was an official tweet, so they had time to think about it and even edit it. Actually, it just hit me. He's saying there's no recreational justification because Joe Biden thinks a 100-round magazine is simply used for recreation and nothing else. And that recreation doesn't justify its existence in the hands of civilians. The problem is there is a self-defense justification for having a 100-round magazine. No one who has ever had to use a gun to defend their life ever said they wish they had less bullets in their gun at the time. And no one who has a gun in the event they need it to protect their life ever says they wish they had a life-saving gun that held less bullets. On the contrary, people are always looking for ways to have as many bullets as possible in their gun, not less. And the reason for this is because we don't know what we will be faced with if the day comes that we have to use our guns to save our lives. Joe Biden can't tell me that if I'm ever attacked, it'll only be 1 person or 2 people, or that I'll only need 1 or 5 rounds to defend myself. Joe Biden has numerous Secret Service agents with so-called high-capacity magazines protecting his life on a daily basis. Regular people cannot afford a crew of trained security guards to protect their lives. We have to depend on ourselves to protect our lives. So we want the most rounds to do it. But apparently Joe Biden doesn't think our lives are worth protecting with high-capacity magazines. But of course his life is. The reason why he phrased it this way is because he did not want anyone thinking about a high-capacity magazine from a self-defense perspective. He wants people to only see a high-capacity magazine as a tool used to murder people and not as a tool used to help save lives. But I assure you, if this ever happened to you, I promise you'll want a 100-round magazine. So Biden, self-defense is the only justification I need for a 100-round magazine. Actually, I take that back. The Constitution is the only justification I need for a 100-round magazine. So do us and the rest of the country a favor and go back to sleep and stop trying to play with our rights. Guns aren't political. That's why I need your help getting this message to spread on YouTube by clicking the thumbs up button, leaving a comment to let me know what you think of the video, then subscribing to the channel. But most importantly, click that bell symbol. For products featured in this video, click the links in the description.